And welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, bringing it to you here from a lovely Westlake Village, California. And I want to call the title of this video, The Month of May and What to Expect. Yes, today is May 1st. It's kind of a macro Monday as a lot of things happen on the 1st. And the first thing I'll bring our attention to, JP Morgan is to acquire First Republic Bank after California finance regulators' seizures. So yes, they did take over their assets, approximately 173 billion of loans, 30 billion of securities, in addition to 92 billion of deposits, out of which 30 billion of the large bank deposits, 30 billion are large bank deposits. So interestingly enough, I found on the FDIC website a list of the bank failures, and you have SVB Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank. Those are the banks that just recently failed. And will my theory be correct? More bank failures equals Bitcoin rally. And I'd say let the trend be your friend until the end of the trend. We got three touches, three times makes a trend. So jumping into Bitcoin price action, and we'll take a look kind of the higher term timeframes first, as the month did just close. And I will pull this out on the monthly time frame and remind everybody, after this giant bullish engulfing candle, we were looking for some continuation in what was the month of April, first month of the new quarter. We got a bunch of earnings. Earnings seem to be better than expected for tech companies, which does bode well for Bitcoin in general, I'd say. And so what is this candle? What is this candle for the month of May, which we just printed? That is a doji candle, or an indecision candle on low volume. That tells you the market is undecided on where price action should go. But when you use a simple fib retracement from the high to the low, you can see we closed above the 236. And I do think it's fair game to see Bitcoin run up to 33.7. Definitely fair game there. And if you take it down to there, we are hitting up at the 0.5 from the last prior high. So again, 618 coming in at 34.4. So definitely keeping that level in target as well for the month of May. But how would we know when that is just going to take off and rocket to the moon? Also noticing here, several drives of hidden bullish divergence. We got two drives, which typically can give you a shot to the yellow 21. You could perhaps call it three, but two confirmed drives. Again, if you check it back from right here though, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of hidden bullish divergence coming back from the dawn of time of Bitcoin all the way back here in this last macro low. Additionally, I want to put our eyes on the stochastic, which has crossed momentum to the upside from the critical zone. We did not get out of the critical zone yet, but I believe on the next monthly closure, as long as we remain above 16,768, momentum will remain to the upside. And that has denoted some pretty large gains over Bitcoin's past prior cycles. So again, point for the bulls, bullish divergence, momentum to the upside. Point for the bears is that momentum is beginning to wane here. Excuse me, volatility is beginning to decrease. And when volatility decreases, that means the strength of the move is waning. So far off the lows, we've seen Bitcoin on the monthly time frame rally up how much? From the ultimate low to the ultimate high, about 92%, 94%. So not a bad run so far, but when you compare that in previous cycle lows, well, let's see, from this cross up to the next major high, we saw a 240% gain, not bad. From this major cross up to the next major high, let's say you said to be conservative, we'll use this low to this high. So 240% on the last one. That one was 300%. And what you can see, and again, to be conservative from this low to that high, 665% before we got a major pullback after crossing up from the critical zone, which to be fair would have been more like from this low to this high. Yep, right there, 4,000%. So you can see kind of the law of diminishing returns coming into force there. Also bring up the bi-monthly, which momentum is still to the downside as long as we're below 33,507. So point for the bears there. And we are rejecting the bearish control zone. We did confirm hidden bullish divergence. Point for the bears there. And it looks like the 2 drive variety on this one, as we have 2 lower lows and 2 higher lows. So hidden bullish divergence, typically that is going to give you that shot up to this green box. And if I was bullishly biased, right, I'd be targeting a move up to that zone. Again, that's coming in between 41.5 to 45,000 or 46,000. All right, let's drop it down to the lower term time frames, as a lot can happen between now and then for Mr. Bitcoin. And the first thing I do want to denote is the hidden bearish divergence actually on the 3-day time frame. And this will confirm, well, we have 2 more days and 8 hours with any kind of a closure below 28.8. So another 2 days, 8 hours. Let's see if it's confirming on CMEs. Nope, different setup there. It would have to be below 26.9 for that to confirm as another lower high. So I will use this one. And CMEs will close in 1 day and 5 hours. So we'll get that closure a little bit sooner. But in general, if we close anywhere below that 28.8 pivot, that is been the critical pivot on the market. As soon as we broke below there on the daily time frame, well, that shot us back to the bottom side of the range. And what's most likely to happen, price action ranges, which it's been a, pretty mundane past month. You break above the range, okay, you're in a breakout. And then if you break back below the range, you're set to go back to the range lows. And now we've had a deviation back above the range and back below. So you will also see on the daily time frame here an additional drive. If we close here today, anywhere below that 28,864 pivot, which would denote likely another drive back to the bottom side of the range. Additionally, let's look at our momentum indicator here. Momentum will cross down today below 28,155 on declining volatility. So again, point for the bulls, as this may be a bit of a weak down spill. And I would say as long as, Bitcoin is holding this level 26,902, looking for a bounce there first and then judge it from there. Again, back above 28.8. Sorry. If you're a little more aggressive, 28,838 on a daily time frame, and probably going to lift off pretty good and at least get back to the top side of the range. And once we take out this wick, well, it's pretty much off to the races. I'm looking for 33 to 32,000, I believe. So, yep, right in the middle of the road right here. And that's 32,568. So, economic data that came out today in America. Economic data coming out today was S&P Global Manufacturing, again, I remember seeing that one recently, and ISM Manufacturing PMI. All came out bullish for the dollar, except for this one here, with a slight miss to the downside. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. So let's check out what happened in the dollar there. And we had been talking about the dollar perhaps putting in a few more drives of bullish divergence, of hidden bullish divergence. Let's see, coming back from this pivot right here, actually, that was the pivot to be watching. As you can see, the price made 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will confirm today with any kind of a closure back above 102, and the dollar should get a decent bounce. So that would be, up to that green 55, kind of this targeted zone. I would not be surprised to see it take one more swipe lower. And, we did get that kind of bounce, but I would say now this may be, I'm just gonna take this off actually. Momentum is now crossed to the upside, low volatility. If we get expansion, and that is, again, Bitcoin back above, expansion defined above 25%, you should see a pretty volatile move on the dollar and expect the price to go in the direction of the momentum. I'll bring us back to Bitcoin to see how that looks on the 3-day time frame, because I did notice this extremely low volatility on the 3-day time frame, not necessarily on the floor, but below 10%. So as volatility gets back above 25%, that would define expansion, and you expect price to go in the direction of the trend. So the 3-day time frame needs to get above 30,789. And what did we say? That was the pivot at the top side of the range here for the daily and for the 2-day. That's 28.8. And then if you want to be a little more aggressive, right, you wait for, conservative, you want to wait for that closure back above there. But 3-day momentum will not flip back around to the upside until we cross back above 30,788. Also noticing a trend line coming in here. A nice little trend line on the stochastic, and these can work out pretty nice. Well, you need 3 touches to make a trend, but I would say this would probably be good enough for me if this flips down here. Stochastic comes below this trend line, and I would look at the move to expand to the downside, and I'd be looking for a move to the tune of about 40%. Call it 35 if you're a little more conservative. And where would that take us? So 30%. So above the pivot, 30% over the month of May. Where does that take us up to? That's 46%. So 30% up to about $40,000. Okay. And I do think this, the expansion off the 3-day volatility is going to rule the market this month of May. And, the direction of that momentum is going to be where the expansion happens. So we do have an event coming up this week. We're going to be seeing May 3rd, the interest rate hike. What is the Fed going to do? What is the Fed going to do? I'm willing to bet 92% chance of a rate hike. Let's check in on the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Again, we want to see that probably get a little bit higher before the next major top is in. However, it has creeped up over the last 3 months to, a decent level here at a 63. What else happened today? Yeah, JP Morgan seized. Yeah, we already went over that. That First Republic's banks. I do hear rumors of another California bank that is going to be failing. And what are people going to do? I mean, everybody knows it. Warren Buffett's full of baloney when he said the depositors won't get hurt. Don't worry. It won't get hurt, right? Because where does all the bailout money come from? It comes from the Fed, right? They just add zeros to their bank account and give the money to the banks. But what does that do? It devalues. The more they print, right? All the money that you saved, all the money you paid in taxes, right, is now being devalued. They're time thieves. The time you put in, and that's what money is. It's a proxy for human time. And that's what the dollar is. It is slavery. It is, mild form slavery, right? It keeps people in poverty because people can never get ahead as inflation continues to rule the markets. And even though, the only hint that inflation may be coming down is the housing market tightening up a little bit. And additionally, I did take a look at the GDP print. I'll have a graph for you guys tomorrow. But GDP has declined now, I believe, for 3 quarters, 3 consecutive quarters. Did not print negative, but it was negative in comparison to the prior 2 quarters, meaning I think it went from like 2.1 to 1.5, something like that. So it's decreased, which would be a negative print. I mean, it's negative. It's less than the prior month. And if GDP is going down, well, maybe Fed has something under control, but I suspect it's all smoke and mirrors. And not only is more bank failures probably going to help Bitcoin, but when they roll out that CBDC as a result of the next major stimulus, that is my theory. I'll stick with it until it dies. When they roll out CBDCs, that'll be the ultimate catalyst to push people into Bitcoin. Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball here, but I do know charts on the macros timeframes are more bullish. The only thing that could really set us back, and what I do fear could be happening, is the S&P. Our general target on the S&P is down to 3,200. At some point this year, we get a recession. Who knows? If the Fed turns the money printer off, that monthly closure looked bullish to me. You're going to have hidden bullish divergence. 1, 2, maybe 3 drives here. You could get a run on the S&P back to 4,500 based off of the last monthly closure. The Dow confirmed its monthly closure, and maybe 2 drives, 3 drives. Is that is close enough there? No, 2 drives. And this would be a higher low than this low. If we go back to this level, a little bit different story. But in general, that was a pretty bullish close for Dow and NASDAQ as well. On the monthly and the bi-monthly. The bi-monthly, very, very bullish close there. I would expect some continuation on NASDAQ, especially ahead of those earnings calls. And the fact that when money printer go burr, when money printer go burr, risk assets typically perform well. I do want to prepare you guys, though, for the downside if we do start to violate that bottom side pivot coming in at 26.9. If you're more conservative, 26.5. Any kind of a daily back below there. And I would, in fact, look for that medium higher low. And, what's the route of the most pain, guys? What's the route of the most pain for the market? And that's typically what happens. Would be some kind of a down here, up here, fake everybody out one more time, and then ping it down here, and then we get the lift off. So I do suspect we're going to get some more sideways consolidations this month, unless stock market melts down, unless we get some really bad economic data. If the Fed on, the 3rd this month says, hey, we're not going to raise rates, we're just going to keep things normal, we're going to pause, right? That would be bullish for the market, in my opinion, but we'll find out. I look forward to bringing back some more cryptocurrency news to you guys. Have yourself a blessed and highly favored day, and we'll be back tomorrow.